but I think Hannah, the stream is not quite right yet. 你现在 OBS 在直播吗？我现在就看到你在投屏。呃，OK，为什么要但是为什么要在 OBS 在 Zoom 在投屏吗？不应该啊，你为什么投屏
The stream started.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's just make sure that the audio is working on the stream and that everything is fine. That seems to be a problem that we typically have, and then we'll be able to start right ahead. Okay. Thing is fine. Okay, I think everything is good. So thank you everybody who is on the stream. Thank you for joining. I am Anthony. 在做，我已经做了。Okay. Yeah, so my name is Antoine, and I am co-founder of Cubing Life Academy. I'm happy to be with everybody in this stream today. Today in this stream, we have a Pyraminx stream. So we have Ben, who is our Pyraminx expert here at Cubing Life Academy. And we have Viet, who is a student at Cubing Life Academy, and they're going to be going through some speed-solving Pyraminx layer by layer. So Ben, do you want to say a couple words about what you're planning on doing today? And I'll give a little bit more of an introduction on Cubing Life, and then you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, so today it's all about layer by layer, a common first method that people learn for Pyraminx. I guess there is a slightly more beginner method to the layer by layer method known as the, I'm blanking, but maybe Anton, you would know the method where you build a layer and then if it's not, you switch to another color.
Bob Burton method, right?
The Bob Burton method, yeah. So it's not quite that simple, and I'll show that the layer by layer is actually a viable method, and you can get reasonable times with only a few algorithms. So first, I'll explain from the very basics. You could be a complete Pyraminx beginner how to build a layer itself. So I'll go over different ways of inserting edges, what a layer looks like, and yeah, some options to build a layer effectively. And then I'll present 1 to 2 algorithms for every last layer case, and show which ones I prefer and why. And so with that is the layer by layer method. But then with the extra time, I will investigate with Viet like how he can get fast using this method, because he has stated that he's interested in pushing it as far as he can go with it, rather than learning L4E, which would be a more intermediate level. And I'll finally go over some like turning advice, other just overall Pyraminx advice that will help anyone, even if you, no matter what method you use. And then I'll show certain layer by layer concepts and tricks that are relevant to all of V-first methods. So layer by layer is technically a V-first method because we build a V, then solve the last edge of that color, and then solve the last 3 edges. You're reducing L4E to L3E. So these topics that are relevant are like block preservation, predicting last layer cases, understanding like edge orientation and stuff like that.
So it sounds like we have a pretty loaded schedule anyways. Even though it's just layer by layer, there's quite a few topics to go through, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so much of like my speed solving method L4E is really in parallel to layer by layer. It's the same concepts, but
so today is pretty much the basics. You're gonna have to go through all of this if you want to get to faster at Pyraminx anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we'll start from the very start, and the first 20-30 minutes or so, Viet, you might already know, I'm not sure, but yeah, well, I'm just going to explain how to use the layer by layer to solve the Pyraminx.
Okay.
So I guess you guys can go ahead and get started and go and learn some Pyraminx.
Yeah, Viet, I'll just quickly ask. I wasn't able to Pardon me?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I'll just quickly ask, like, I didn't see any Pyraminx videos on your YouTube, so I was wondering, like, what around you average and.
Average like 6 or 7 seconds.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's pretty fast for layer by layer already. But we can definitely get that down a little bit. But yeah, the first few minutes of this stream is gonna be like review, and you might learn some new ways of thinking about building a layer, but I'm just gonna go from the very basics.
Okay.
Right. And then in the later half of the stream, we can maybe do some walkthrough solves together, and I'll show you some tricks to use with the LBO. So I'm going to start with a fully scrambled Pyraminx. Pardon me. This is just a CS timer scramble. And the first step to the layer by layer method. First of all, if you don't know, you can solve the tips right away. They don't affect the rest of the cube. These are the tips. These are the centers, edges, and that's it. So I'll solve the tips, and then you can pick any color. So let's just pick blue for no particular reason. And you want to locate all 3 blue centers. So right here is the blue center, right? Because the centers are the pieces directly attached to the corner tips. So here's a blue center, here's a blue center, and here's a blue center. Notice that this corner includes no blue center. So there's always going to be 3 of the 4 corners that include your desired color. You can put your fingers on all 3 of those corners, and the face that connects your 3 fingers, that's where you're going to build your layer. So we're going to build the blue layer on this blue face. And in order to do so, I need to bring in every single blue center so that it faces the face that I choose to build my layer on. So I'm going to bring these in, and now I've completed the base of the layer. From here, I usually put this base on the bottom, and I work with 2 algorithms generally. The first one is a sledgehammer. It goes R prime, L, R, L prime. Here's what it looks like slow. And then the inverse of that algorithm is L, R prime, L prime, R. This is what it looks like. I'm just doing hedge slammers. So the second one is a hedge slammer. The first one is a sledgehammer. And you use these algorithms to insert edges. So here's a blue edge. I'm going to look at the other color attached to this blue edge, and it's green, which means its position needs to go in the direct middle of this blue face and green face. Because if I align this final center with the same concept of like bringing all of the same color to one side, I have a better view of where all the edges need to go. So if I'm building the blue layer, this blue red edge needs to go in between this blue and red side. So right here. And the way I insert it is I put my desired color on the bottom, bring the edge to the front so that my desired color of the edge is facing me. And if it's on the left side, like in this case, I use a hedge slammer. So L, R prime, L prime, R. And you can visualize this as bringing the edge directly into where it needs to go, then moving this connection out of the way so that you can fix that center, and then move this up. That's L, R prime, L prime, R. And notice how now the blue-red edge is inserted. Next, I scour the top layer and look for another green and another blue edge. And here's one. It's blue and green, which means it needs to go right here. So I keep my blue face on the bottom and I do another hedge slammer. And now if you run into a case where there are no more edges in the top layer, this is the top layer, the layer that contains no blue. If there are no more edges in the top layer, you can just do a sledgehammer over some unsolved slot, and that will kick out the edge that's in that slot into the top layer. If you a trick is if you do a sledgehammer, you kick it out and it ends up on the left side. If you do a hedge slammer, you kick it out and it ends up on the right side. And I'll go into more depth at the more advanced section of this stream. But now I can move this so that it faces me and it's above where it needs to end up. So this is blue, yellow. And here it's on the right side, so I do a sledgehammer. R prime, L, R, L prime. Remember, right side is sledgehammer, left side is hedge slammer. Now we're at the top layer. So that's the overview of how to build a layer. If there are any questions, please ask in the chat. But now I will go over the last layer cases. So the very first case is that you get a last layer skip and the cube is, or the Pyraminx is completely solved. That's a 1 out of 12 probability for those who are curious. Another case is this one. So I guess I'll go into I'm just going to solve the Pyraminx right now, and I'll go into the definition of an oriented and a permuted edge. So an oriented edge is an edge that can be solved with 2gen. So R and U moves, for example. Like this edge is, if we're talking strictly about the last layer, this edge is oriented if this is yellow and green. If I can move it above the yellow and green and it can be aligned to both colors. Essentially, in theory, it could be solved with just, or it could go above its place. It could go into its place with an just U moves and be aligned. Now here, clearly the center is incorrect, but this edge can be placed directly above with U moves. That means it's oriented. So this edge is oriented, but it's not permuted. And an edge that is misoriented, when you bring it above where it needs to go, it'll appear flipped. So there will be a green sticker here and a yellow sticker here, which is incorrect. And to be permuted means to be already in the correct spot in relation to this center. So a solved Pyraminx, in this last layer, all 3 edges, because last layer is really about solving 3 edges. All 3 edges will be both permuted and oriented. For this case, this is a 3 cycle. You can kind of think of it as car headlights on each side. These edges are all oriented because, look, one move brings them all above their respective positions correctly, except the edges are in the wrong place, meaning they're mispermuted. They're not permuted. So their order is incorrect, which means I can do, this will be the first algorithm that I teach you. It's for this case. It's a 3 cycle. This edge needs to go here, which needs to go here, which needs to go here. It's a counterclockwise 3 cycle. And the algorithm I use the most for this is L prime, U, L, U, L prime, U, L. And a fun fact is that case is equally as probable to get to as a completely solved. Yeah, Antoine, not a lot of people even talk about orientation of edges and permutation in Pyraminx, but yeah, I can assure you it's a thing. And I think it's very helpful to know when you're tracking pieces, no matter how advanced you get. But yeah, I also have never actually seen someone, it was never really taught to me. It just kind of exists. But yeah, if this is a counterclockwise 3 cycle of edges, L prime, U, L, U, L prime, U, L. I think of these cases, the oriented 3 cycles, as kind of being similar to a soon on 3x3. So if I set up a soon I'm taking out this pair. R, U, R. This is for the soon OLL, for those who know. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. You're taking this pair out, putting it in the back, and then putting it back in. So another algorithm for that case, which I use pretty much just as often, is taking this corner out, R, U, R prime, putting it into the back, and then inserting it again. So those are like the two main algorithms you want to be using. Another quick tip is that it doesn't matter if you start with an L or an L prime. All that matters is that you're taking some edge out of the bottom layer, moving the top layer. If you have a 3-cycle in general, moving the top layer so that the edge you're hiding as you're taking out becomes solved. So here, this edge needs to move right here. So I'm going to solve it with a L prime U L. Now it's solved. U L prime U L. So that's the most basic algorithm for that case. And then if we do that algorithm, it'll set up the other case. This is a clockwise 3-cycle. And you just do the mirror on the right side. R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. Kind of resembling an anti-soon on 3x3. So those two cases are each a 1 out of 12 probability along with the solved case. So those are the most rare cases. Next I'll go over the 2-flip. And this case is a 1 out of 4 probability. You'll get it 1/4 of the time. And you recognize it. You have your solved layer here. You have everything permuted, but 2 edges misoriented. So these 2 edges just need to flip in place. Yeah, and the most standard algorithm to solve this is to put the 2 edges in the front top right and top left positions. Do a sledgehammer, R prime, L, R, L prime. And then you're inserting this edge down here with U, L prime, U prime, L. And you can think of the second half of that algorithm, the U, L prime, U prime, L, as rotating the cube counterclockwise from the front and then doing a hedge slammer. So if it confuses you, you can literally just do a sledgehammer, rotate, hedge slammer. And that's how you solve 2 flipped edges. And there are countless other ways you can solve these 2 flipped edges, but that's the most standard way. And you only really need one way if you're doing layer by layer Pyraminx. You finish your layer, you notice you have a 2 flip, put the edges in front, sledgehammer, U, L prime, U prime, L. And then finally, there are 2 cases that are kind of, it's less clear, like how, well, it is clear. I could define this case as this being everything is mispermuted by a 3-cycle, just like the first case I showed you. This needs to go there, which needs to go there, which needs to go there. But you have 2 misoriented edges and 1 oriented edge. The oriented edge is the one with no connection in color. So these are different colors, these are different colors, but the other 2 edges have one of their sides being connected. We have this blue shape here. So what you do for these cases is put the oriented edge in the back and then ask yourself which side is the bar on in the front. So in this case, it's on the left. And from here, you can do R prime, U prime, L prime, U, L, R. So basically, you're asking yourself which side is the connection on. And if it's on the left side, your first move is going to be on the right side. So you don't break this connection with your first move. You preserve it, or you go parallel to it, in fact. I'm doing an R prime, which is like parallel to this kind of bar shape. And then I can kind of imagine that this edge needs to be inserted down here, and I was building a layer. So I'm inserting it like this, and then undoing my first move, R, and you're done. So now the other case is just the other direction of the cycle. And for this one, you put the oriented edge in the back, and it's just the mirror. You do an L parallel to this connection, L, insert this edge to the bottom with U, R, U prime, R prime, L prime. And those two cases are each also 1/4 probability. So you have three out of the 4 times you're gonna get either a 2 flip or one of those two cases. And then the other 1/4 of the time you're gonna have a 1/3 chance of getting a solve, and then the other 2/3 being the 2 different 3 cycles. So once again, those 2 last cases that I showed you, I think of them as on 3x3. This I can think of as brew roof. So, fur roof. For this OLL, you have this L, the P shape. F, inverse sexy F prime, solves it. Here, replace the F with the L. L, inverse sexy L prime. And what a lot of Pyraminxers don't do, no matter how good they get, is use the inverse of these algorithms, which is actually very viable if you know how to turn effectively. So for this same case, you're putting that misoriented edge in the back. If instead you put it on the front or on some front side where the other edge in the front is a connection, then you're set up to do, in this case, L, sexy L prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, L prime. So that's an alternative algorithm of the same length because it's the inverse of the other case. L, R, U, R prime, U prime, L prime. And the way to turn for this is L, and then you go R, and then you do this nail flick with your left index. I'm pushing with my nail. That's very important. And then here, I'm pushing with my index forward. So that's the algorithm for this counterclockwise 2 misoriented edge case. L, R, U, R prime, U prime, L prime. And then finally, for the mirror, you have the connection here, the oriented edge here, R prime, L prime, U prime, L. So L prime, U prime with the nail. I'm using my right nail to flick this. That's very important. And then here, you can either push from the back, but you can also push right there. Oh, excuse me. So those are my LBL algorithms. Yeah, once again, you're gonna, just to recap the entire method, and I'll do a walkthrough solve now. A really basic walkthrough solve. We could do more advanced walkthrough solves, maybe with Viet later. You're gonna pick a color, so let's pick yellow for the sake of randomness. These are my 3 yellow centers. I'm gonna join them to one face. This is my yellow face. Put that on bottom. Locate a yellow edge in top right here. Yellow, blue. It's directly above where it needs to go. I'm ready to do a sledgehammer because it's on the right side. R prime, L, R, L prime. Next, this one. R prime, L, R, L prime. Next, yellow, red. So it's above where it needs to go. R prime, L, R, L prime. And now we have a 2 flip. These 2 edges are flipped in place. Everything is permuted, but 2 are misoriented. And here I can do sledgehammer, R prime, L, R, L prime. And then I'll rotate counterclockwise in the front, hedge slammer, L, R prime, L prime, R. That is the complete LBL algorithm. And to recap, if you want to turn fast as you're doing U and U primes, I suggest implementing this push flick and this nail flick. A good way of practicing is to just fidget around with your cube, going like nail, 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 nail. But yeah, that's the basic. If there are any questions about the LBL method, please put them in the chat, and we'll move on to some more advanced stuff otherwise. Okay, So if you want these algorithms also, the ones that I just showed you all are on cubing.mikeg.me.uk. He has those exact algorithms and the probabilities on his website. But yeah, I guess I could go into a couple bonus algorithms for those cases. So for this case where two edges are misoriented, one is oriented, from this angle, you can do, so you have the oriented edge on the left. This is a counterclockwise cycle. You do, and you can think of it as this OLL in this case, where you have this bar here, R prime, U prime, sledge, U, R. Same thing. R prime, U prime. And here's a good point where I can explain what a sledgehammer actually is doing to your Pyraminx. It's bringing this edge, flipping its orientation in relation to the top center to this spot when I do a sledgehammer. And it's bringing this edge directly upward as if it were doing an L prime. A sledgehammer, in effect, just does an L prime to this edge. So right here, you can notice that doing a sledgehammer will solve this edge to right here because it'll flip its orientation. Whenever you see this bar, that's not a solved bar, but it's a bar shape, and this edge needs to go here, a sledgehammer will solve it. So I'll do a sledgehammer, U, R. So that's another algorithm for this case, R prime, U prime, sledge, U, R. Of course, you have the mirror from this angle. L for the clockwise case, L, U, hedge slammer, U prime, L prime. These are 8 moves instead of 6. That's why. But yeah, they're bonus. Sometimes you can cancel into them. I use them in my solves because they have nice finger tricks. And then once again, for these 3 cycles, yes, I could solve this with R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. But these are, you can solve this in 2-gen, meaning 2 axes. So the RU axis, the LU axis, you could use the BU axis if you really wanted. And all that matters is that your first U move is in the right direction. The rest is just alternating the direction of the R or L move. So right here, I could do R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, or I could start with an R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R. Or I could do an L prime, U prime, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L. Or finally, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L, U prime, L prime. And just having those 4 really simple options allows you to cancel pretty much every time if you're able to predict that case. Yeah, a lot of the time, if you're canceling in LBL, it just means that you're doing an L4E algorithm without knowing. Now, I guess I'll do another random scramble and talk more about predicting edges and how to track them. But maybe now's a good time to maybe we could do it with Viet. So, Viet, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to use your camera and do a follow along solve?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. So I'll put my camera onto the scramble. Hopefully you can read it. Let's see my. Pardon me. Nice.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. So you can look around and tell me what color you would want to do.
Probably yellow.
I'm going to solve the tips just to get them out of the way. I've mentioned this in the previous stream, but solving the tips is a great idea at the start if you're able to. It's a good habit to get into. But yeah, let's do yellow. So have you done any moves yet?
No. Well, only the
Okay.
tips.
So what's your strategy for solving yellow here?
It's like with blue on front, I would do L prime U R to put in the green edge. And then just
L prime U R, yeah, just to get one of the 3 edges of the layer. That's all right. Okay.
Yeah.
L prime U R, nice.
And then hedge to put in that
Hedge
edge.
to put in this layer, just as I described in my tutorial.
And then
Now
just
you have
rotate.
a flipped edge.
Yeah. So I'd rotate, then just do sledge.
Sledge.
And then
Insert R U prime R prime. So yeah, right there. As the first
this case.
Yeah, so what Via did here is instead of having it in the front and doing a sledgehammer to insert this edge, he has it on the side, so he knows this other way of inserting. I just call it an insert in my courses. R U prime R prime. And now you have this case, is that right?
Yeah, U.
U.
And then hedge. And then just insert that corner.
Okay, so here's my first piece of advice is change your algorithm for this case. So set it up again. Yeah, you got it. So you don't need to do a hedge insert. That's 8 moves. You can do a 6 mover. L, then do like, imagine you're inserting this edge to the bottom, inverse sexy, L prime.
I think that's the one that my friend uses.
That's the one your friend uses?
Yeah.
What does he average?
Like 5.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it probably is. It's the one I use probably 75% of the time. But yeah, I suggest you switch to it and find a good finger trick for it. I like to do the U moves with all like pushing with my index. So both sides pushing with my index. But you could play around with that algorithm. And let's go over the mirror right away. So do that algorithm on a solved cube and you'll have the mirror case. And yeah, once again, set up from the same spot that you are used to doing. Or what's the algorithm you're used to doing for this case?
Wait, let's go wrong. Wait. I just did like the mirror for the other one. It's like sledge and then insert the edge.
Okay. So set it up again and we'll go through the better algorithm in my opinion. R prime. Now pretend this edge needs to be inserted to the bottom. U prime, L prime, U, L, R.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. And then the inverse of each of those algorithms is also quite effective. So if you do one of those algorithms, you can put this oriented edge, the one with no connection, on the left, and do R prime, L prime, U prime, L, U, R. That's the reverse. And then finally, L, R, U, R prime, U prime, L prime for the other side. But you can play around with those on your own time, but it's good that you learned them now. Okay, let's do another solve. And this time, as we insert the last edge, I'm going to see if we can predict the last layer case, because I think that's a very important skill if you want to be getting fast with this method.
Okay.
So what color would you like to do?
Probably yellow, because I can like see 2 edges.
Which edges do you see?
Well, probably all. It's like with blue on front.
Yeah.
So R U prime, L R L prime.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, but look, if we're using LBL here, re-scramble. I'll show you a nice trick, and it's actually, I think it's an optimal solution on this scramble. So it's kind of lucky. Okay, so on yellow, you said to do R U prime.
Yeah.
And then right here, we'll just pause. You have these two blocks that you're solving with L R L prime. That's
LR,
gonna
U, L
flip
prime.
this.
You could do
Pardon
LR,
me?
U, L prime.
Yeah, L R U L prime, and you get a skip. No US.
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 move body on that scramble. Anyway, next scramble. Oh well, I can show you a trick for yellow here.
Okay.
So there are two. If you see, for anyone watching, if you see a block like this where there's a solved edge, the first thing you're gonna want to check is those two colors that include that. So yellow or blue. So do you see how you could solve a yellow V in 3 moves for this case? For the listeners, a V is a layer without missing one edge.
I mean, I only see like a 5 move V.
Is it our hedge that you see?
Wait, no. I could do a 4 move one.
4 move. What's the 4 move?
LR, U, L prime.
That's not a V because
Oh, wait, no. I forgot.
But that's good thinking. That's very similar to the last scramble. But anyways, the 3 move V here is involving this yellow red edge. As we're solving this center, we can insert it to the back left with L prime R L. Holding yellow on bottom. L prime R L solves that.
Oh.
So it's something you'd start to notice. And then here you can go right into the hedge slammer. And then do you have this case? Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you do the algorithm I just showed you? Perfect. Okay, great. Let's do another one. And this time we're going to predict the last layer like I said I would last time. So what do you see on this scramble?
A 4 move V.
4 move V. On what color?
Yellow again.
Look at blue. There's a 2 move V. Oh, one of us missed scramble. I'll scramble again.
Oh.
Yeah. Could you re-scramble? Oh. All good.
Okay. Oh. Wait, no.
So on blue, there's a.
Is it
2 V.
with green on front, L prime, R prime?
Yes. And then how do you want to yeah, so do that. And now pause right there. What are you going to do to complete the layer?
L, U, L prime.
Good. And so do you know what I meant when I was talking about oriented and permuted edges in the intro?
So this one's a bad edge.
Exactly. Where do you get that term bad edge?
Like,
do you do blind?
Yeah.
Or like FMC or something? Or like EO? Anything
well, sometimes
with EO.
ZZ sometimes. Well, no,
okay.
I don't do it, but
ZZ
I just know
is super
it.
cool. Yeah, ZZ is super cool. And when I got into FMC recently, I learned all about EO and stuff. But yeah, that's great that you call this a bad edge, meaning that it's misoriented. It can't be solved with 2gen. And we're inserting this edge with a 2gen algorithm. 2gen meaning 2 axes once again. LU, L prime, which means this is going to remain misoriented. And one thing you can predict right now is that the inserting of this edge is not going to affect this edge. And any edge that looks like this, if you see this edge that is misoriented and mispermuted and that's going to be included in your LBL case. It's the only case that has that type of edge. You know exactly what case it is just by seeing this.
Okay.
So all you need to know is where the two misoriented edges are going to end up, and here you can actually cancel. So you can go ahead, Pia.
Wait, I just did a YouTube.
Yeah. You can try canceling. L U prime R U prime R prime L prime. Good job. So what Via just did, guys, is he's inserting this edge into the back, L U L prime. But right here, the algorithm that I taught you guys is to do L inverse XE L prime. So this is actually the ML4E, meaning multiple angle L4E. For this case, is to do L U prime R U prime R prime L prime. And we just discovered a pretty advanced algorithm just using LBL. So that's why I think LBL is a fun method, and it can teach you a lot about more advanced methods. Let's do another one.
Right. Remove. Oh, actually, I could do it. 1, 2, 3. Wait. 5 move layer.
5 move layer. Okay. So what is it?
It's like R. Well, like it's kind of like from a weird angle. Like.
What color is it?
Yellow.
Okay.
It's like that.
Oh, I think you're gonna get a skip. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So 1 out of 12 chance, but he just built a layer and he got a skip. His layer was he notices these 2 blocks, which means this is just an intro to block building. This is a block because it has an edge solved in relation to its connected center. And then this is another block, and they each share the color yellow, which means yellow is probably a good option for this scramble. And this edge, I can't just put it in right away. So I'm building my yellow face here. This is the face that connects the 3 yellow centers. But I can't just mindlessly put this block in right away, because now anytime I try to fix this center onto this face, it's going to mess up that block. So a big concept in Pyraminx is solving the centers in the correct order. So right here, if I solve this center, then this center, then this center, that's what preserves the most blocks. For any beginner, you can mess around with this concept by solving your centers and trying every single different order of solving them and seeing how that affects edges. But anyways, that last move was an L prime, but you can cancel into inserting this edge with L U L U prime. Skip. Another very short solution. Let's do another solve. Your block building skills are good, Viet. I would say that's your strength. And I think you could be very good at Pyraminx if you wanted. Anyway, what do you see here?
Yellow for the millionth time. And so from this angle, like with the yellow on front for some reason, R U prime L, and then just put in this edge.
Okay.
A V.
Oh yeah, I see. So 4 move V.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you have this case. So you're gonna do U prime hedge.
Yeah. And then this is a bad edge.
Oh yeah. Let's predict. So 2 bad edges. Sledgehammer does it. Here's a quick quiz. A hedged hammer, does it change or preserve the orientation of the facing of the other edge in the front?
It changes it for this.
Yeah, it flips the orientation, so it turns a bad edge into a good edge, which means what?
That these and this are going to be bad edges.
Exactly, because you're always going to have either 2 or 0 bad edges in so bad or misoriented edges in a Pyraminx last layer. So it's going to be this edge and whatever edge replaces this edge. So then you're going to put the good edge in the back, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to do a U right after the, if you're tracking this becomes a good edge to right here.
Yeah.
He's going to do a U.
So then you'll get the case that's like L, U or U prime R prime, L prime.
Exactly. So go ahead. Perfect. Let's do another. Let me check if there are any questions. Doesn't seem to be. But there are 8 watchers, which is great. Okay. So what do you see on this scramble?
I mean, probably red would be good.
First off, I think a general rule at your level is to pick the color with, if you see a color that has 2 blocks, try to explore it first of all. So green has 2 blocks.
Oh yeah, it does. So kind of like from this angle, R prime U L. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you'll run into a problem, but you can do that kind of idea.
R U L R.
Yeah, that's optimal. So he's kicking out this edge. He's kicking out this bar to solve this center, then solving this center, and then the final center. So that's R U L R. That builds a V.
Yeah, and then this edge and this edge are bad edges, and it's gonna stay like that. This one's gonna go to the back.
Yeah, so the good edge, it will end up in the back.
So just be the other 3 cycle with like this block over here and this one being wrong.
So can we cancel?
No, I don't think so.
No, correct. Because the connection will be on the left side, which means our first move has to be an R prime.
Yeah.
So L prime U L, R prime, left insert R. Very good.
Yep.
Next.
There's no blocks on this one, I think.
Okay, so here do you want to see an advanced 4-move layer?
Okay.
So on red, you can build the layer. And this is not, you kind of just have to find this in practice by practicing a lot, but rather than solving the centers and then inserting edges one by one, notice how if you hold the red on bottom, this red-green can connect right here with one move to this red-green center with R. And then if we solve this center, that'll bring this red-blue down with an L. Or solving this center with an L will bring this red-blue and basically replace, it'll kick out this red-green that we are solving. So that's already 2 edges getting solved with RL. And then we'll be an R prime away from a V.
And just do a U prime before that?
Yeah, and that's a layer. So then predicting the case, this layer, this edge doesn't get affected by RL, U prime, R prime. And then this edge is a bad edge, meaning that it'll remain a bad edge because the only moves that affect it are U prime, R prime, which is 2 gen. So just from there.
So it's going to, and the block's going to be on the right after?
Exactly. Just tracking this blue sticker, you see that?
Yeah.
And now, yeah, okay, great. Great solve. I'm going to show you how you can use the inverse of that, of like that kind of algorithm to cancel a move here. So do the same scramble, sir.
Yeah, I have it.
So same layer solution on red. R, L, U prime. And then if we track right here on the last move, the good edge is here, and the connection is going to be on the right, which means I can do this algorithm. R prime, left sexy. So L prime, U prime, L, U, R. So,
Okay.
yeah. That would be like a pretty good solve. Like on that scramble, I probably would have used LBL and done that exact solution. I still use LBL, maybe one in 8 solves or something. Let's do one more and then we'll do one more advanced, and then we'll do one in kind of pretend that we're beginners, but still like comment on the edge patterns and stuff. Sorry, that's the same scramble.
Oh.
Oh yeah, so maybe for this one, there are no blocks, so we can just solve it like a beginner would. So pick a color.
Yellow, because you can cancel into doing blue.
So R, L prime, U prime, L prime, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so undo that with L, U, L, R prime. Here's a okay, this is becoming an advanced solve again, but you're doing R, L prime right here. If you have anything like this and you're building either a V or an LBL, instead of doing U prime, L prime, if you see that this edge, it needs to go in the back right, in between that U prime, L prime,
You do an R prime.
you can do an R prime to pick up this edge essentially with this slot. So you're going to do R prime, U prime. And here is very important before you even
L
do
prime
that.
R.
L prime R or bar, or here's something advanced. Are you able to undo that? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So I think I touched on this really briefly last stream, but if you are doing R L prime to finish a V, that's 2 moves kind of going outwards. And if the V is in the bottom front slot, you're still going to get a V no matter what order you do those 2 outward going moves, which means you can swap the 2 moves direction and get a better case. So here, you were suggesting to do R prime, U prime, L prime, R. That'll flip this orientation. If you instead noticed that this edge is essentially one center like position off, you would see that doing R prime, U prime, and then R, L prime gives you a solved edge, which is usually what you want to start moving towards as you improve with LBL.
Okay.
So do R prime, U prime, and then instead of L prime, R, you do R, L prime. Very good. And now here, I guess we'll just say this for anyone listening. You could just notice that, you notice that you have a layer. Switch colors. Yes. Or as a more advanced trick, if you're building a layer and you notice you have a 2 flip essentially, but you don't want to like rotate, you can put the other flipped edge that's in the top on the left side, do a sledgehammer, and then do an insert. So right there, sledgehammer. That's helpful for this because, if you want to set this up, do L sledge, U L prime, U prime. You're good at following notation. I feel like you would be good at like team blind. I don't know if you practice that. So.
Yeah, I do it sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, if you have this as your L4E, I guess, but it's just an L2E. You have 2 flipped edges in opposite positions. You can bring the flipped edge to the left front, do a sledgehammer, insert. Yeah. Okay, let's do one more solve. And we'll we'll think more of the beginner because I think this stream turned out to be more advanced than expected. Even though it's still LBL, that just goes to show like LBL is a serious method. So pick a color.
Either red or yellow. They're both good.
Okay. Yeah, there are blocks on every color, so yeah, let's just go with red, I guess.
So from here, RL, and then
Yep.
you could rotate to put that in the back.
Okay. Yeah, great. I like that you rotated that way and solved to the back so that you're ready with the last edge in the front. That's
And
a very good. Yeah.
R prime U, RL prime to take that out.
Oh, very good. So here, guys, he's inserting this edge, but he doesn't want a flipped edge in bottom, so he'll cancel it into doing a sledgehammer. L prime. Now we're here. Are you inserting this like normal?
I'm just gonna check. So this probably not because this is a bad edge, and I don't like bad edges.
Which one's a bad edge?
The one in the back.
Yeah, you don't like bad edges? Okay. Well, what are you gonna do to get no bad edges? There's nothing you can really do. Just like L4E would be the only way. Because if you sledgehammer that in, you'll get a 2 flip, which I guess that's arguably better. But personally, in this exact L4E, I know that if I insert this edge like normal, I can cancel into the LBL.
Okay.
Can you try to do that?
I just need to update. So
take your time.
So it's going to be like R, U prime, R, and then just cancel into the og.
Exactly. So as a recap for the viewers, this is a bad or misoriented edge because it's flipped. It cannot be solved with 2-gen R and U moves. This is also a bad edge because it's above where it needs to be, but it's flipped. And then, which means if I'm inserting these edges with a 2-gen trigger, if I'm inserting this edge with a 2-gen trigger, both these edges are going to remain bad. And you can only have 2 bad edges on a Pyraminx last layer. You're going to have either 2 or 0, which means they're going to end up here as bad. There's going to be a good edge in the back. That's this one. So you're going to have a 6-move case. And here we're canceling into that algorithm. Yeah, so the time is 8. I guess I'll do a recap and you can explain. Well, it's good that you learned those new algorithms for those cases. And you can practice and let us know at Cubing Life Academy like how it's going with LBL. If you ever want to, like, do you think now after this, I guess I'll ask is, are you more persuaded to learn L4E or less?
I think less because now I can like do a lot more block building easily and predict.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because like, I don't know, I just don't want to learn a bunch of values.
Yeah. Yeah, L4E is 20-something cases. I forget the exact number. L4E includes last layer by layer. And layer by layer, you just need those 5 key algorithms. And you can get down to, in theory, like sub 4. Like I did a session just before the stream just to see like what I could get with layer by layer, and it was low 3. So I think layer by layer is underrated for beginners. People want to learn L4E right away, and then they might get discouraged. So if you can just solve a Pyraminx and you want to practice and you have a good Pyraminx, just do a bunch of practice with layer by layer. And the most fun thing in Pyraminx, in my opinion, is tracking pieces. And so as you build the layer and you're inserting the last edge, just play a little game with yourself. Try to predict which layer by layer case you're going to get. Use those concepts of orientation and permutation, and explore different ways of inserting an edge. I guess I'll just briefly go over that, because there are so many ways of inserting an edge as you build your layer. So I'm just gonna get to a point where I have the centers but no edges. So here on yellow, there's nothing. And I'll just show all the different ways I could insert, say, this yellow-green edge. So the first way that I taught on stream is hedge slammer. Nice. It's 4 moves. Or you can move it to the side, insert it like normal, L prime U L. Or you can move it to the back, and then from here it's 3 moves, L prime U prime L. Or you could insert it into the back left. If you have it in the front facing like kind of on the opposite to this face, you can insert it to the back with, a lot of people don't know this, L prime, R prime, L, R. So that's a fun one. L prime, R prime, L, R. Now let's do this edge. So you could do a sledgehammer, you could do an insert that way, you could do an insert that way. What else could you do? Let's say I was here and this was my scramble. I have a solved edge already, but I want to solve the other 2 because I'm building a layer. And I've already got an R prime. I can bring this up here to connect it to the yellow-red with L prime, U prime, L. So right here, it's like in our face. It's part of a yellow color face. And I can essentially take it out of that and connect it, L prime, U prime, L. And then, so that's that. Also, if you notice this edge, that is essentially oriented in relation to this center. It can be solved with 2gen. And Viet, I noticed, was doing this a lot during the stream today. You can move it to the side. It doesn't matter if you move it this way or to the back, but either way, and then bring the yellow-blue up, and then connect it, and then that'll finish a V. Now, finally here, I'm inserting this edge with R, U prime, R prime. If I track the pieces, this is a good edge, this is a bad edge. And this edge is solved, meaning it's not going to be solved after I do R, U prime, R prime. So I know I'm going to get one of those 6 mover cases. Put the good edge in the back, R prime, U prime, L prime, U, L, R. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Once again, with turning, if you're doing LBL, do the layer on the bottom. Solve the layer on the bottom. Use sledgehammers. Sledgehammers can be like abstracted into basically 1 move. If you're doing them with the proper finger tricks, which is really obvious. You just go R prime, L, R, L prime. It's so fast to just do a quick sledgehammer. So it's okay if you're building the types of layers that just go sledgehammer, rotate, hedge slammer. The layers like that are perfectly fine up until you're at about 5 seconds. And then just track the last layer and you should be good to go. So that's all I have to say. Hannah, are you there? I think we can end the stream there. But once again, the course I teach at Cubing Life Academy is L4E, a slightly more advanced method. I think we're already not live anymore. Oh, we are live. Okay. The course I teach is L4E, a slightly more advanced method where you solve the last 4 edges rather than solving one of the last 4 edges and then getting an L3E, last 3 edges. And you can sign up for that at the link in the description. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.